I tricked my unfaithful, soon-to-be ex-wife into believing I was unfaithful, then pulled off an epic ghosting move and served her the papers on Christmas Day. Get ready to settle in with a snack, because this is going to be quite the lengthy tale, stretching all the way from late 2018 to just last week. According to the guidelines, all names have been changed here. All right, let me give you the context. My soon-to-be ex-wife was the girl I fell for back in high school. We kicked off our relationship back in '91 when we were just 18. Fast forward to now, we're both 47 and still going strong together. She's the one and only woman I've been with my whole life. We tied the knot 5 years later at 23, right after graduating from college. A year later, we welcomed our first of two boys, now 23 and 18. I dedicated 24 years to her, constructed a home for her, pushed myself to the limit to provide her with the life she dreamed of. Absolutely, every marriage has its ups and downs, right? Even during the toughest moments, we managed to push through and emerge stronger on the other side. Finding out about her affair was even more shocking. Remember back in March 2022? That was when I first sensed that something just wasn't right. For about 2 months before, we were really in a slump. I was recovering from reconstructive knee surgery after blowing out my ACL in the fall of 2019, but I was still struggling with my mobility. I was only able to move my knee about 55% at that time. This really affected a lot of people in the house. I was on workers' comp after getting hurt at work, so I couldn't handle my regular chores around the house. So there was quite a backlog. My sons tried their best, but the tasks that only I could handle ended up being sidelined, or my wife had to step in, which she definitely wasn't happy about. Things totally came to a halt in the bedroom between us. It was already slowing down before my injury, but given my condition at that moment, it just came to a halt. Over the past few months, Linda found herself chilling with her coworkers more often after work. From November 20 to March 2022, it happened all the time for her. Of course, I didn't think much of it. In all the 24 years I've been with her, I've never had a reason to feel worried or distrustful. She's got her crew, I've got mine, and we've got some overlap. I used to chill with my friends constantly, and everything was cool. Everything was completely legitimate. Back in January of this year, I stumbled upon something strange. Linda has been acting pretty distant lately. Yeah, we were going through a rough patch, but she would never go that far to withhold affection from me. The typical hugs and kisses she used to shower me with suddenly stopped. Her phone was practically glued to her hand long before I started to get suspicious, but she always made it a point to share and show me the cool stuff she found online. Check out some awesome DIY projects and recipes over on Pinterest, memes, and a whole bunch of other things. But now she was acting all secretive with her phone. Her interactions with me turned increasingly curt, like she just couldn't care less. Well, here we are in March, COVID is here, and New York State City is in lockdown mode. Our selected professions are classified as essential, so we both get to avoid working from home. I just got the green light to head back to work after being sidelined for 5 months. I was totally ready to dive back into it. 5 months of sitting around rehabbing my knee and being unable to do anything physical has seriously driven me up the wall. Just to give you a bit of background, I'm really into physical activities. I'm really into martial arts and usually hit the gym about 4 times a week. In addition to all the home projects I tackled, it was just a week or two into the lockdown. My soon-to-be ex-wife just let me know that she's going to have to start clocking in some extra hours. Honestly, I don't give it much thought due to her profession. Honestly, I thought it would be every other day, but apparently not. It happened daily, and definitely not just for a short while. She'd roll in 3 hours or more later, hit the shower right away, hang out with me for a bit, catch up with our 18-year-old, 23-year-old roommate who's living with his girlfriend, and then crash for the night. Now that I'm getting more comfortable on my knee, we've begun to be intimate again. But as you might expect, she was totally checked out mentally and emotionally, which I picked up on pretty fast. By early April, things began to come into focus for me. Everything seemed to indicate that she was definitely up to something shady. That's when I figured it was time to seek some answers. I went deep into the web to find what I should be on the lookout for. There were definitely some red flags when it came to my partner's loyalty, and it seemed like she was checking off all the signs of infidelity. So my quest for answers evolved into figuring out how to uncover evidence. I kicked things off by checking out her social media. Scrolling through her FB posts from a few months back, it's basically the same old stuff. Photos of us and our boys, snapshots with her and her pals, and definitely a bunch of shots from her nights out with colleagues. These photos show a mix of her work buddies and a few people I've never encountered before from her job. I've noticed a common theme popping up in several of these images. Just one dude. In every photo he's featured in, he seems to be uncomfortably close to her. He's got his arms slung around her shoulder, or his hand resting on her lower back. That's way too close for comfort with someone I've never actually met. Let's just say that left me feeling pretty disappointed. Honestly, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Nope, absolutely not. The most frustrating part is that this guy is actually friends with her on Facebook and follows her on Instagram. So I decided to check out his FB account. And guess what? I'm blocked. What's the deal with being blocked from checking out this guy's FB account? So he's connected with her on FB? Absolutely. I'm currently in full-on detective mode, just like Batman. At that moment, I wasn't even attempting to refute it. I had a feeling she was seeing someone else behind my back. I set out to discover the duration. So throughout April and May, that's exactly what I was up to. I had no idea just how much information could be uncovered from phone, text, and email records until that point. We've got a family plan for our cell phones. I managed to gather a substantial amount of information. My soon-to-be ex-wife's data history was quite revealing. The two numbers she interacted with the most between October 2019 and April 2022 were mine. And an unfamiliar number. Can you even imagine whose number it was? I did a quick search online and found out it was definitely the guy from the pictures who blocked me on Facebook. We'll refer to him as Derek because that's exactly what he is. At this stage, things are starting to make a lot more sense. However, many of their messages and texts seemed pretty scattered. This meant she was getting rid of a ton of them. I had a feeling she was seeing someone else behind my back with this dude. However, the data didn't provide any definitive proof. I was looking for additional proof. At this moment, I decided to share with my best friend what I had discovered. He wanted to know if I had confronted her about what I had. I just couldn't go for it. It didn't feel like it was sufficient. That's when he mentioned an app I could download that supposedly lets me monitor her communications live. I'm not going to mention the name since I'm unsure about the guidelines regarding that here. It's all set up now. Got my data plan synced up and now just chilling. Just a few days after that, I finally laid my eyes on it. A conversation between the two of them, reminiscing about the awesome time they had the night before. So, are we thinking about doing it again this weekend? Boom. That hit hard. To say I was utterly crushed would be putting it mildly. I suppose that moment is my big day. For the next couple of days, I felt completely shattered. I made a conscious effort to keep my distance from her during those 2 days right after the big event, and it was clear she was visibly shaken by it. She would attempt to comfort me and inquire about my troubles, but I'd just wave it off and leave her gifts. I just couldn't bring myself to look at her. This woman to whom I dedicated 24 years of my life, to whom I have devoted everything I had and then some as a husband. She went outside our marriage for someone who's only 5 years older than our oldest kid. By the third day, I had totally moved on. I was really annoyed. I reached out to Leo to share that my suspicion was confirmed, and he wanted to know if I had confronted her yet. Nope, not happening. I made it clear that I was looking for some kind of retribution. I really didn't want to go through with a divorce. I was ready to take her down. I was determined to completely wreck her life and make it a total disaster. I figured it would take some time, so I came up with a plan. While diving into my readings and research on infidelity, I came across a quote that really struck a chord with me. It suggested that the foe of infidelity is unpredictability, or something along those lines. That was going to be the foundation of my strategy. I was all set to turn her life into a total nightmare, while quietly plotting my way out. It's early June and I still have the app on my device. Almost every night I'm collecting all the info I can while observing their exchanges. They're acting like they're in a serious relationship, with all the steamy texts, sweet romantic gestures, nudes, and everything that comes with it. I had completely given up on checking any of it by that time. I was just gathering some info and organizing it on my private FPS server. In the meantime, I begin to engage in some unconventional activities. I've been heading out at some pretty unusual hours lately. I find myself getting home even later than she does. When she's around, I find myself glued to my phone way more than I typically would be. And when she inquires about what I'm doing, I can't help but feel a bit caught off guard. I just say some random things and then put my phone down. I went ahead and updated my login info on all my accounts, so she was totally locked out of all my things. Just so you know, throughout our whole marriage, we never kept anything from one another. It seems that just around the time her affair began, she decided to change her Facebook password and her phone password too, claiming it was necessary due to the security breaches that had been happening lately. Wow, what a clever way to keep things under wraps from your spouse. So I filled Leo in on my plan, and I also let my older sister, who's my only sibling, and two of my closest friends know what was happening. These are the folks I trust with everything, and I made sure they know to keep it under wraps. Just to give you some background, Leo and I go way back to our childhood days. We've known our friends Mark and Emily since high school. Don't forget about Emily. She'll show up later on. July rolls around, and my soon-to-be ex-wife is in full-on paranoia mode. She's been hitting me up way more often lately, asking if I'll be home when she gets back, when I'm coming home while she's there, and what I'm up to, just the whole 9 yards. It's clear that the idea I introduced to her last month is beginning to take root, particularly in how she's interacting with Derek. She's opening up to him about her uncertainty and mixed feelings, letting him know that I'm feeling a bit chilly and withdrawn. The absolute audacity of this woman. During these conversations with Derek, she proposes that they should probably stop coming over to our place since she has no clue if I might just drop in, which confirms that, yes, she's had this jerk in my home. Appreciate it, Linda. Derek asked her in that particular conversation if she was concerned about me possibly cheating on her, which really annoyed her. Honestly, I can't put into words how much joy and laughter that exchange brought me. My unfaithful wife is in a heated argument with her lover about whether she's upset that her husband might be cheating on her. Oh, the absolute irony. Just to clarify, I'm not getting involved with anyone right now. When I head out, you can usually find me at Leo or Mark's, enjoying some drinks, catching fights, and chilling with my brothers. Alternatively, I might be at my big sis's place, hanging out with her and my Bill, who feels like an older brother to me. My sister is 53 years old and her husband is 60. She mentioned my STBXW's cheating to him, but kept my plan under wraps. Had to play it safe since he tends to spill the beans. Let's jump ahead to October. That's when things really start to get interesting. I've been in this faux affair for 3 months, and it's clear that Linda is really picking up on the fact that I'm starting to distance myself from her own. It feels like ages since I set my plan in motion until she finally called me out on it. October 20th, 2022, and that was the first time I had even laid a finger on her. Zero affection, no cuddles, no starting any kind of closeness. Absolutely nothing. She definitely didn't require it. She was still totally posing, just at his place or at motels. So that afternoon, she hits me up at work, which used to be pretty common before everything went down, but it definitely hasn't happened in a minute. She tells me to head straight home after work because she had. I've got something crucial to share with you. I won't sugarcoat it. I really thought she might finally admit to her cheating, but surprise, surprise, she didn't. Instead, I come home to her questioning if I was unhappy with her. Seriously, guts. She points out that I've been away from home way too much lately. I've stopped showing her any affection, and now her intimate life is basically non-existent. She says she's concerned that I'm distancing myself from her due to the resentment I felt about how she treated me during my knee rehab months. And then the punchline hit hard. She totally flipped out if I was cheating on her. Guys, I literally hit the floor laughing my head off. And when I say hysterically, I mean like someone who's just inhaled a tank of Joker laughing gas. At first glance, it seemed to her that I was just brushing off the idea of being unfaithful with a laugh. But really, I was chuckling at the ridiculous irony of the situation unfolding right before me. I was just losing it, banging on the floor in total chaos for a solid 2 minutes before I finally managed to pull myself together enough to respond. I finally sit up and meet her gaze for the first time in months, shaking my head, but I keep my silence. I get up, dust myself off, give her a quick kiss on the head, and start getting ready for the night ahead. Later that night while I'm in my office, I think to myself, you know what? Considering how brief the situation was, I was curious about what she was saying to him. I open the app, and to my surprise, they're really messaging back and forth in real time. She says, I know he's cheating on me. I brought it up with him tonight, and he just laughed right in my face. He hit the ground and just couldn't stop laughing for about 5 minutes. Clearly, it wasn't just 5 minutes. It's like he doesn't even care about my feelings anymore. I can't quite wrap my head around it, but he's just not here anymore. I'm pretty sure I've lost him for good. This is totally karma, I can feel it. The grin I had while reading that was probably as wide as a Cheshire cat's. She was falling apart. Posh tried to comfort her, pointing out that if I truly cared for her, she wouldn't have turned to him for what I wasn't providing. However, the way she responded made it clear that she was starting to have doubts. She really had the audacity to leave our marriage because I couldn't be the husband I wanted to be due to a legitimate injury, and she carried on the affair for almost a whole year. But the thought of me being with someone else was what made her second-guess her choices. What a total weakling. So while all this was happening, I was also putting the second part of my revenge plan into action, sorting out my finances and getting everything in line. Back in September, I met with a family attorney to start the process of getting my divorce papers sorted out. I had a ton of evidence stacked up by that time. New York State operates on an at-fault basis when it comes to divorce, and the mountain of evidence I collected showing Linda's infidelity basically ensured I could take her down hard in a divorce case. My lawyer told me to sort out all my financials to get ready for whatever asset division might happen. I took it a step further by quietly withdrawing all my funds from our joint account and transferring them to my personal account. I've begun looking for an apartment as part of phase 2. It's November, and I'm still doing the same things as before. Actually, I've taken it to the next level. This is where my buddy Emily steps in. Just to give you some background, Emily and Linda have never really been what you'd consider close. I met Emily during my freshman year of high school, which was 2 years before I crossed paths with Linda. From way back, Linda has always viewed Emily as a rival since she's my closest female friend. Linda has always seemed to have this unspoken distrust towards Emily. She hasn't come out and said it, but it's clear to anyone who's actually looking. On the flip side, Emily has never really liked Linda, especially during the early days of my relationship with her. Emily pointed out how Linda was basically inserting herself into our tight-knit group, while I never did the same with her circle of friends. Emily was definitely annoyed because she was fully aware of Linda's motives. In Linda's group, there are still no male friends, while Emily stands out as the only girl in my circle. Emily was finally back in New York State City on November 3rd after being stuck overseas because of the virus. So Leo, Mark, and I thought it would be awesome to throw a little get-together at Mark's place to celebrate her return with some dinner and drinks. It was just a small group of 5. Leo, Mark, Mark's wife, Emily's sister, Emily, and me, following the recommendations from the CDC. We really take the Rona seriously, and Emily, with her wicked genius, hatches a devious plan to get under Linda's skin. She proposed that we snap some pictures similar to the ones I found of Linda and Paz a few months back and share them on my FB. And that's exactly what we went ahead and did. It wasn't until the 5th that Linda caught on, probably because some friends picked up on my posts and noticed how uncomfortably close I was getting with Emily. This seriously messed with her head because she was convinced I was cheating, and I can almost bet she wanted to point fingers at Emily, but she realized Emily had been in Europe for most of the year. She still tried to call me out that night for being, as she put it, too handsy in the pictures. I saw this as the perfect chance to throw the first punch for my ultimate victory. Honestly, who cares about the photos with Linda and Paz from last year? He definitely got a bit touchy in those. But did you catch him getting all worked up about it? Like a deer caught in the glare of oncoming traffic. This was literally the first time I even brought up the guy's name in all of this. The mental gears in her head began spinning furiously as she attempted to justify those pictures. Up until that moment, she had no idea I was aware of their presence. I barely use FB at all. Whenever I finally share something, it feels like a big deal to everyone. That's exactly why the photos featuring Emily really blew up in our community, and she sure did explain it all away. He's like that with all of them. He's honestly just a super chill and approachable dude. I get the vibe, but honestly, it's empty. Sorry if those pics upset you. I'm just gonna get rid of them. It's not the pictures that got to me, trust me. The time you've been messing around while pretending to put in extra hours and chill with friends is what really got to me. But revenge, as Lieutenant Discussion. Worf from Star Trek. The Next Generation famously stated that revenge is a dish best served cold. Ever since that night, Linda has been super clingy and overly attentive, to the point where it's kind of annoying. She's making moves to connect and get closer, but I keep shutting her down at every opportunity. Meanwhile, I'm keeping a record of everything she's saying to Posse. At this stage, I was totally desensitized. Any hope I had left to salvage my marriage was completely gone. I had marked the day when I set my plan into motion. She's opening up to him about how I've been struggling more lately. She's totally at a loss about what to do, and she thinks I totally despise her. I totally do. And then, out of nowhere, the shocking revelation hits. She mentioned that she can't hang out with him anymore. The weight of guilt is overwhelming for her, and it feels like karma is closing in on her. She knows she can't afford to lose me. She claims to have deep feelings for Posse, yet she still has lingering love for me, and now she feels the need to fix her marriage before she risks losing me? No, my friend, you're about 8 months behind on that one. Posse totally flips out, throwing around sweet nothings like he doesn't love you the way I do. You're seriously making a mistake here. You can't just discard me like that. That text chain would be the final one they'd have until roughly 3 weeks ago. As November drags on into December, Linda finds herself stuck in a state of limbo. She's trying to figure out my mindset and still can't tell if I'm being unfaithful or not. In the meantime, Posse keeps hitting her up every single day, but she's totally ghosting him. She kept glancing at her phone only to stash it away just as fast. So, phase 2 of the plan is officially in the books now. The divorce papers are all set. I scored a studio apartment in Harbor Ridge. Those familiar with New York State will definitely recognize the spot. And I just locked in a 2-year lease. All of my cash was in my individual experience. I was all set to unleash my big move. Well, here we are at Thanksgiving. My oldest and his girlfriend decided to throw a little get-together for our close families. So it's them, the oldest and his girlfriend, her parents since she's an only child, me, Linda, and our youngest. We had an awesome night. My oldest girlfriend is going to culinary school, and she handled all the cooking on her own. The girl can seriously cook, let me tell you. I had to maintain the facade that everything was fine between Linda and me, so I made sure to show her affection multiple times that night. Cheek kisses, adorable little hugs. Embracing her from behind, my arms gently encircle her shoulders. She definitely picked up on the gestures and was totally enjoying it. Keep in mind, this was the first time I made physical contact with her since I kissed the top of her head that night in October when she confronted me, so it had been roughly 2 months. I won't sugarcoat it. I felt totally gross doing it, but I really had to. I couldn't jeopardize the plan, and being distant with her in front of my friends, my oldest girlfriend, and her parents would definitely raise some eyebrows. So my youngest is all about staying over at his big bro's place for the night. So Linda and I are making our way back home. On the way back, she expresses her gratitude for my kindness and says, "I may not fully understand what you're dealing with, but I'm here for you, babe." I had to stifle my urge to burst into maniacal laughter again and replied, "I know, I just need some time." For the first time in what feels like ages, we actually had some intimacy that night. I thought, why not? With what I'm planning, I might as well have some fun before I erase her from my life. Let's just say it wasn't exactly a romantic encounter. After it was all over, she was just a heap of flesh, lying there, trying to make sense of which way the truck had come from that hit her. No cuddling or anything afterward. I just woke up, took a shower, and then headed to my office for a nap. She was puzzled, but I had used protection. For the first time in 2 whole decades, I actually did it. She was totally confused by it, but she didn't bother to ask anything. There was no way I was going in unprotected with her, especially knowing she'd been with that loser for months by then. I roll out of bed the next morning and immediately pull up my trusty little spy app. Finally, after weeks of silence, she decided to respond to Derek. Bro went all out, spilling his heart for her. She claims she was just wasting her time trying to revive a spark in me that had long since faded, that she had spent 24 years in a kind of prison with me and truly deserved to feel the love and affection from a man who would value her. Just a heads up, this guy is 28 years old, 5 years older than our eldest kid, and he's totally hooked on a 47-year-old married mom. What a classic case of a high-quality simp. She decided to wreck our marriage and tear apart the home we had created for this guy. Adorable guy with a gentle heart? Interesting. She replied with basically the same thing she mentioned during their last conversation. She really cares about him and had a great time when they were together, but she's not going to lose me. I'm definitely the one she loves most, but there's no denying that he holds a special spot in her heart. They can totally remain friends if that's what he decides. However, their physical connection has come to an end. He pleaded with her to meet up just one more time that week, and of course she agreed. Just one more before we wrap things up, huh? Who am I to even have an opinion? I totally pulled that move on her last night. Absolutely, I included everything in the archive I put together. Phase 3, the final phase of Operation Shinobi Ghost, kicked off on December 4th. The divorce papers were ready to go. I've got my new place all set up now. So I guess it's time to gradually begin the process of moving my things out of the house. But first, I needed to share the news with my crew. I summoned my eldest to the house that Friday night, brought them into my office, and laid everything out on the table. It's not about the details, but rather that their mother had been unfaithful to me for more than a year, and I'm planning to file for divorce shortly. My 18-year-old was really affected by this, especially since he just went through his own first experience with infidelity. For sure, finding out that his first girlfriend had cheated on him just 4 months ago was tough enough, but realizing that his own mother could do something like this really crushed him. My oldest handled it much better and even proposed that his brother move in with him until things settled down. I totally went along with that. We gathered some of his things, and he asked me if I was going to be all right. I assured him, yeah, kiddo, I'm going to be just fine. You're right about that. Everything's going to be okay, I swear. And then they took off. The toughest challenge has been tackled, and now it's time to get the nukes ready. In the coming weeks, Leo would gradually assist me in moving some of my most personal belongings out of the house day by day. I handed him a list of everything he definitely needed to pick up while Linda and I were at work and left him the spare key. This was all soft that Linda wouldn't even realize was missing unless someone pointed it out to her. I also got a new phone and phone number, and I made sure to share my new contact info with everyone who needed it. Leo, Mark, Emily, my boys, Big Sis, and my mom. In the meantime, I'm maintaining the act with Linda, and she has no idea. Dropping small hints of affection to her to throw her off the scent, all while she's still chatting with that jerk. It's not as intense as it used to be, but there's definitely still some emotional stuff going on. The fog is subtle, yet it lingers on. During this whole time, I'm collecting it all. Seriously, I mean everything. I've kept track of every piece of data since I kicked off this plan. Get all the call logs, texts, pictures, emails, everything, and start printing them out. Guys, I think I've dropped more than 1,500 on office supplies. Got all the essentials. Printer ink, paper, binders, you name it. I organized everything meticulously, since the start of everything until that final moment a couple of weeks back. December 17th in the binders, huh? There are 15 in total. I went ahead and boxed each item up, wrapping them nicely as gifts and labeling them for different folks. My mom, my dad, passed away 7 years ago. Her parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, and her HR department. Did I mention that Derek works for the same company? There's a clear rule against intercompany relationships due to the nature of her work. A bunch of her friends, along with Derek and Derek's folks, carried all of those things to the post office and sent them out on December 17th. Any updates on when it will arrive? December 23rd to 24th. Absolutely perfect. It's officially Christmas Eve now. Linda gets back home at her regular hour. Not sure if she had come across Derek. I stopped keeping tabs on her through the app on the 18th. I thought I had squeezed out every bit of value from it. Like always, she takes a shower, spends some time with me. We get a little wild on the couch. I know, I'm a total jerk. And then she heads off to bed. Finally, the last phase was here. The nuke I had been prepping since June was finally ready to go off. Last night, I found myself wide awake and decided to wrap up one of the last 3 binders, the one with the divorce papers taped to the inside cover. I placed it on my side of the bed, along with a little note that read, "Merry Christmas." Beside it, I placed my old phone and my lawyer's business card. I gathered all the essentials. I packed up 2 backpacks and said goodbye to the place I called home for 24 years, leaving for the last time. That, my friends, was just a week ago. Hey, Linda, I'm totally off the radar right now. It's over. Shadow just vanished. She's got me blocked on FB, yet for some reason, I'm still in the clear on her end. I'm staying updated on the aftermath. It's totally epic. All my packages have made it to their destinations, and Linda is really taking a beating over this. Her youngest sister totally tore her apart. Her parents are totally against her. My mom totally wrecked her. Wow, I get that my mom can be harsh, but the stuff she said to Linda is just outrageous. She's been desperately searching for anyone who might know my whereabouts, but those in the know are staying completely silent. She's flooding her FB feed, clearly trying to get my attention, probably because she realizes I'm probably on the lookout. I'm not saying anything to her without my lawyer here. That's the next time I'll be breathing the same air. With her, there's no way she can twist the story to make me look like the villain, since I've laid everything bare to those who are important to her. So I heard from a mutual friend who works with her that she and Derek are supposedly getting put on administrative leave starting tomorrow. Looks like she might be heading into 2022 without a job. Yay for that. Regarding the last 2 binders, one has been handed over to my lawyer as crucial evidence for my upcoming divorce, and the other is stored away, destined to be burned in Mark's fire pit once the divorce is finalized. Am I supposed to feel guilty about this? Absolutely not. Not at all. For 24 years, I treated this woman with respect and care. I provided her with the home she desired. I provided her with the family she desired. I provided her with the life that I believed we both deserved. I loved her without any conditions. I've never wavered. I've always stayed true. I've never even considered the idea of breaking my vows. When a problem popped up that I thought was impacting our marriage, I approached her and shared my thoughts, and we worked through it as best as we could. She chose to seek solace in another man's bed instead of coming to me to express her dissatisfaction with our intimacy at that moment. She chose to go out with a young punk who sent shivers down her spine. Honestly, I don't feel any sympathy for my actions or for her situation. Honestly, she can just suffer for all I'm concerned. The worst case scenario for me is losing my home, a vehicle, and possibly a few $100s each month in spousal support. Considering the divorce is filed under the adultery statute and New York State is at fault, there's a chance that could be waived given the overwhelming evidence I've gathered. Honestly, she's out of my life for good, and I have no intention of revisiting that chapter. Just a quick note, New York State isn't entirely to blame. In specific situations, a divorce can be filed on fault grounds, and my lawyer has indicated that my case qualifies for this. I'm meeting Thee's soon-to-be ex-wife along with her lawyer tomorrow. I suppose I'll just keep everyone posted here. Update, I tricked my unfaithful soon-to-be ex-wife into believing I was cheating, then pulled off a stealthy exit and served her the papers on Christmas Day. Christmas Day marked the first complete day I spent in my new apartment. It's definitely a work in progress. I've got more things on my list, but overall, I'm really starting to feel at home here. Since I'll be around for at least 2 years, my buddies and my oldest girlfriend came over and hung out for a good chunk of the day. She brought some homemade treats and even cooked up a really nice meal. I finally had the chance to sit down and chat with my sons like we used to, and it felt really good. My big sis swung by with even more treats and spent some time chilling with us too. It was the first time she had laid eyes on her nephews in almost a year. Having everyone around really helped me out. If I had been alone, I probably would have just drowned my sorrows in booze. So around 8, everyone dipped, and I thought it'd be cool to chill with Mark and his wife, Claudia. Chilled with them for a few hours, grabbed a couple of drinks, and then headed back home. The latest major update took place on December 29th, 2022. Around noon, I received a message from Emily wondering if I had plans for that evening. I definitely wasn't, so we decided to meet up after I finished work. She arrives and we head to a diner close to my workplace. In New York State City, we're currently at 25% capacity for indoor dining due to the pandemic. But honestly, it's not hard to find a seat since many people are choosing to stay in more often these days anyway. So once we were settled and had placed our orders, Emily basically revealed everything. And to be real, I saw this coming from a mile away. She pretty much admitted that she's been into me since we were teens, but never had the opportunity to say anything because Linda came in and took me before she could make a move. Just to give you some background, I've been friends with Emily for 2 years longer than I've known Linda. Like I said, she's been the fourth corner of my social circle with Leo and Mark. We were the misfits in high school, the rave kids who were always on the outskirts of every other group. Emily used to struggle with her weight and had diabetes. She was the plus-size goth girl who had an awesome vibe, yet no guy ever seemed to notice her. But we totally had that spark. Emily is currently working as a personal trainer and yoga instructor. She was the awkward duckling who transformed into an absolutely stunning swan, if I do say so myself. To cut a long story short, once my divorce was finalized, we made plans, and guess what? I ended up sleeping with her that night, brought her back to my new place, and we had an amazing time. Do I feel guilty about hooking up with her? No way. Emily has definitely outshined Linda when it comes to being a friend. That doesn't mean Linda wasn't my closest friend. Throughout the almost 25 years I've known Emily, she's consistently had my back. That day, I realized how much she was willing to step back from her own feelings, to let me chase after and eventually build a life with Linda. That hit home for me in a way I didn't expect. That level of selflessness for someone else truly embodies what real love is all about. I get it. It seems like I'm just convincing myself that hooking up with her was the right call. For me, it definitely was, and I'm all in on seeing what the future holds for Emily and me with complete dedication. So yesterday was the day I met up with my wife and her lawyer to talk about the divorce. It's been a solid 2 weeks since I went silent on my soon-to-be ex-wife. This past Monday, I received a call from my attorney letting me know that Linda's lawyer has set up a meeting for us to go over the divorce terms on January 7th, 2022, which was just yesterday. I met with him on Tuesday morning to go over the terms I'm looking for. To sum it up, I'm going for an uncontested divorce, citing marital neglect from Linda. I'm looking for a complete split of assets, and I'm willing to sell my share of the house to her. She can take it all. We each hold on to our own rides, and I've got my cabin in the Everlake cabin. So, claiming marital neglect, she won't be getting any spousal support from me. Regarding my son, who I'll now call 18, he can decide where he wants to live after the divorce, and it looks like he'll probably choose to stay with me. So Wednesday rolls around, and I stroll into my lawyer's office looking sharp in my Johnny Cash attire. My spouse and her attorney, she looks pretty rough, struggling to keep it together. I present the unyielding expression. I won't hit you with all that legal jargon. However, her attorney put forth a proposal for terms of reconciliation. I dismissed their proposal right after she wrapped up explaining the specifics. As I mentioned, I'll keep the meeting details to myself. To sum it up, we decided on a legal separation that will eventually lead to an uncontested divorce. The only change is that I'll be providing her with $775 a month in temporary spousal support to help with utility costs until she finds a job again. Yeah, she got let go for that ridiculous pose. He got let go too, about a year after everything was wrapped up. I earn a decent amount, so I won't be financially impacted even if she takes her time securing a new job. She's sitting on a solid amount in her savings, enough to keep her going for a good while. After a full calendar year has gone by since the divorce was finalized, she's on her own. Totally worth it to get that cheating baggage out of my life. It should take about 3 months for everything to wrap up, so if all goes well, I'll be free of her by early April. After the meeting, my lawyer shared some last thoughts before saying he'd reach out to keep me posted on the filing progress. Out on the street again, Linda runs after me and asks if we can chat. I thought it was the least I could do for her. She managed to keep her composure during the meeting, but once outside she broke down, expressing her regret and how she never intended for things to escalate like that. She claims she never saw it coming with Posse, but realized how wrong it was to betray her own husband when she thought I was being unfaithful. She wondered if I could ever find it in my heart to forgive myself, and suggested that maybe in a few years we could consider starting over. She can't even fathom what her life will look like without me. I suggest she begin picturing it soon, as this will be the final moment I ever communicate with or lay eyes on her. I explained to her that at 18, he's practically a man and should be able to make his own decisions about his future. I feel like I devoted half of my life in every bit of love I had to her, and she, in her own words, ended up falling for someone else. There's just no way I could ever bring myself to forgive her. All the love I had for her faded away during those months when she chose to confide in Posse and express her feelings for him instead of coming to me with any concerns about our relationship. I expressed that I cherished the person she used to be, but I can't stand the person she has become, and honestly, if I never cross paths with her again, that would be just fine. Here we are on the sidewalk in Midtown, downtown Manhattan. Her making a scene, tears streaming down her face. A few people strolled past, throwing me some side-eye, but honestly, I was over it at that point. I wasn't looking to embarrass her. I had already taken care of that on both social and professional fronts. I just needed to release the last remnants of my feelings for her. I wrapped up by saying that I have no regrets about the 24 years I spent as her husband. I can't believe that after 24 years, she chose the easy way out. And honestly, I have some of you to thank for this realization, because it hit me just moments before I said it. For all those years, I thought she was truly mine, but it turns out I was just taking my turn. Slipped in my Raycons, spun around, and just walked away. Later that night, his dad hits me up and says he's sorry. He compliments me for consistently being a decent person to his daughter, expressing his disappointment in her actions and stating that he believes he raised her to be better than this. Honestly, I'm really going to miss that old guy. Since my dad passed away years ago, he's been my go-to father figure ever since. I just don't think I can keep up a relationship with anyone from her family. After that call, I hopped on FB and made a symbolic move by changing my relationship status to divorced. Woohoo, it's not officially wrapped up, but to me it feels like it's already in the bag. As I mentioned, whenever I post on FB, it turns into a whole thing, and a bunch of people started messaging me with questions. I just put it all out there that I filed for divorce with Linda earlier today. Emily definitely called me, surprised that I acted so quickly. Clearly, I was already working on it when we had that conversation, but she couldn't possibly know how advanced it was. I hit her up to see if she could swing by, and naturally she comes sprinting over. We hooked up again, but this time she crashed at my place. We just chilled in my bed, chatting away until the early morning hours. It's been ages since I've experienced this kind of relief and sense of connection. Emily totally gets me, and I just can't get enough of hanging out with her. Ever since she opened up to me, I can't stop thinking about her. Honestly, I get that some people might think it's messed up that I'm moving on quickly, but for me, my marriage was over the moment he let Linda get involved, so I feel like I'm just catching up. Woohoo, that's all there is to it. Well, that's a wrap. I'm in the process of getting divorced and ready to move forward with Emily. I remember saying in a comment that I probably wouldn't marry again, but that was before Emily opened up about her feelings for me. Honestly, I can't deny that I feel the same way. We're going to play it cool and keep things under wraps until the divorce with Linda is finalized and official. I honestly couldn't care less about what happens to Linda. She can bring her stuff into our old place for all I'm concerned. I'm set to receive my money for the house throughout 2022 in 4 quarterly installments. On top of that, I'll be sending $775 directly to her savings account every month. I'm finally free from her for good. I'm really grateful for all the support, encouragement, and kind words. Thank you all so much. So, my soon-to-be ex-wife of 24 years just attempted to take her own life last night. The blows just keep rolling in. I've been stuck in this for hours now. I wasn't sure where to share this, so I thought this community would be a good fit. If you're curious about the backstory, feel free to dive into my post history for all the details. I'm not really a fan of how the linking to other communities operates here, but you can check out my last 2 posts in my profile. Here's the short and sweet version. I found out that my wife, who I've been with for 24 years, 47F, has been cheating on me with a 28-year-old coworker. We've got 2 boys, one is 23 and the other is 18. I came up with a scheme to totally disrupt her life by tricking her into believing I was having an affair too. I maintained the act for more than 4.5 months, gathering proof of her unfaithfulness, getting the divorce papers ready, and plotting my escape plan. Gradually packing up my stuff from our place to the new apartment, getting a new phone and number, splitting my share of our joint income from the shared account, and so on. On December 17, 2022, I collected all the evidence of her affair that I had gathered, printed everything from the beginning up to that week, organized it into 15 binders, wrapped 11 of them as gifts, and sent them to the key people in her life, including her HR department, with an expected delivery between December 12th and December 24th, 2022. On Christmas Eve, while she was asleep, I grabbed one of the last 3 binders and did something similar. This time, I taped the divorce notice to the inside cover and left it on my side of the bed, where she'd had her lover over multiple times. I also included my old phone and my lawyer's business card, and then I ghosted her. In just 4 days, everything in her life fell apart. Her family basically cut her off completely. Her friends, completely unaware of the affair, turned their backs on her, and my own mother didn't hold back, unleashing a torrent of harsh and brutal insults that were truly unforgiving. She and her partner were put on administrative leave and ultimately let go. So, last week was the big day for our divorce hearing. We ended up agreeing on a legal separation that's moving toward an uncontested divorce. We've also set up some provisions for transitional income since she's currently out of work. I'm stuck covering the utilities, which comes to $775 a month, until she either lands a job or up to a year after the divorce is finalized, which should be in about 3 months. She retains the house, her vehicle, and her portion of the joint assets. I'm holding on to my share of the assets, which includes my vehicles, car, motorcycle, and boat, as well as my vacation spot, the cabin in the Everlake cabin. After the hearing, we had one last conversation where she attempted to justify her cheating and pleaded for me to consider giving her another shot once the divorce is finalized. I definitely said no, threw in some choice words, and just walked away from her for good. So let's talk about what happened last night. Since only my closest friends, 2 sons, older sister and mother have my new contact info, and I've completely blocked Masoon, my ex-wife, on all social platforms. She hasn't been able to reach me since I left her on Christmas Eve. However, some mutual friends still have access to me. So last night I'm just chilling in my apartment when I get a voice call notification on Messenger from one of those friends. You know, the ones who actually stuck around after I outed her affair. She jumped right in when I replied, saying she had gone to check on Linda, the soon-to-be ex-wife, and discovered her passed out in the bedroom, foaming at the mouth with 2 empty pill bottles beside her. She's in the ICU, critical but stable. Fingers crossed for her recovery. The doctor mentioned that she should probably make it, but it's obvious she's going to have a rough time afterward. She was totally desperate for me to show up. Her parents and a couple of her sisters were also at the hospital. I think they probably got the heads up after the hospital tried to reach out to me, but Linda would still have my old hash as her emergency contact. I just straight up said no. Linda's out of my hands now. It seems she opted for the path of least resistance instead of confronting the embarrassment and pain of the 24-year marriage she wrecked. I mentioned to her friend that if Linda's family showed up, they could help her put everything back together. As far as Linda and I go, we're basically non-existent now. I hung up the phone after that. I took some time to think it over, and my sons reached out this morning to see if I was aware. I said yes, but I made it clear to both of them that if they choose to be there and support their mom, I won't hold it against them or judge their decision. After all, she is their mother. I've completely distanced myself from her and honestly couldn't care less about what she does for or to herself anymore. They were both somewhat surprised by this, but they respected where I was coming from. Now that the news about her suicide attempt is out, it seems like all those friends who abandoned her are suddenly reappearing, insisting that I should be there for her. They say that even after everything she did to me, I need to support her during this difficult time. I heard that her Abe attempted to visit her this morning but was turned away since he's not family. I'm being pressured from all sides to go see her, but honestly, I have no feelings left for this woman. It's been ages since I last did that. I stepped back while dealing with the fallout from her betrayal, and I firmly believe that I have no interest in what she's done. Honestly, it just intensifies my dislike for her. She was the one who cheated. She's the one who thought a nearly year-long fling with a guy 5 years older than her oldest son was worth wrecking 24 years of her life. Now that she has to deal with the fallout from her decisions, she opts for the most self-serving approach, especially considering that she's likely going to come out of this unscathed. She's managed to win over immediate sympathy from everyone who called her out, and now I'm being portrayed as the bitter ex-husband who can't find it in himself to empathize, at least by most of her family, except for her dad. He's been messaging me for a bit now, saying he totally gets why I'm choosing to keep my distance. It's as if I never really understood this woman at all. 24 damn years, and it ends up like this. Yeah, I get that the way I ended things with her might have messed with her head, but now it feels like a whole new mess has unfolded. Either she completely lost it and thought about ending it all, or she pulled a really risky move to reach out to those who just weeks ago were calling her out for what she did to me. She betrayed me, and now she's acting like the one who's wronged. Apologies if this sounds a bit out there, but I'm just trying to make sense of it all. Just to be absolutely clear, I'm not planning on visiting Linda. She gave up her right to my concern for her well-being the moment she allowed Posse, my personal nickname for her partner, to be intimate with her. This might sound a bit cold, but even though I've been pretty composed during this whole situation, my emotions are still pretty intense. And honestly, I just don't care about this woman at all. It's been ages since I last did that. I know I'm about to get a lot of backlash from some people here. I really couldn't care less. Perceive me however you wish. But if you were in my position, you'd understand her actions in a completely different light. Some of you are probably going to dig into my post history and come to the conclusion that what I did led to her suicide attempt. My relentless teasing of her for months, leading her to believe I was unfaithful while she was actually cheating on me, and then completely ruining her reputation both socially and professionally, was what triggered her breakdown. Could be. Maybe I'm just a cold-hearted sociopath. But, as Arthur Fleck so famously put it, you get what you fucking deserve. I devoted so much of my life to this woman, doing everything I could to be the ideal husband for her. She openly acknowledged that I had no influence on her choice to stray from our marriage. She did it for her, no doubt about it. Her selfishness is off the charts, and honestly, I'm just relieved to be done with her. If that makes me the villain for choosing not to see her and having no intention of ever interacting with her again, then so be it. I stand firm in my beliefs no matter what. She decided to stab me in the back. She decided to prioritize her own needs over the needs of our marriage. Now it's my time to prioritize myself above all else. Honestly, she can just suffer in the worst place imaginable for all I care. Let the others step in and assist her in getting herself sorted out. Once we signed that separation agreement, my responsibility for her well-being was officially over. I really had to share this. If you're just going to throw shade at me for my feelings, keep it to yourself. As I mentioned earlier, after 24 years and 2 kids, I realize I never truly knew this woman at all. I feel zero sympathy for her, and that's not going to change. Just let her deal with it. Just a quick heads up, I heard from Linda's dad that she's been transferred from the ICU to the mental health wing. Her mental state is still under observation by the doctors. She's awake and aware now, but you can definitely tell she's still pretty sluggish. Her dad mentioned that she asked if I came to see her, and when he said no, she just kind of shut down after that. He kindly mentioned that he'll only share any more updates if I ask, as he gets the mental space I'm currently in. I've set up counseling for the 18th. The first consultation is happening this Monday. Update on the situation following my STBXW's attempt to end her life. I'm sharing this as a way to cope and process my thoughts, a method to express my ideas in a practical manner. So, despite all the things I've mentioned before, I actually went to see Linda today. It's been 4 days since she got out of the hospital, and you won't believe it, but it was Emily who pushed me to go see her. She mentioned that the only way I could let go of the contempt I have for her is to meet her one last time, in her vulnerable condition. So at about 7 p.m., I finally called her for the first time since I served her. Her hello lacked the bright and bubbly energy I've known for over 20 years. Her voice was raspy and faint. As soon as she heard my voice, the tears started flowing. It took her nearly 3 minutes to pull herself together and start talking again, before she had the chance to speak up. I let her know I'd be there to see her by 8 p.m. So she was on board with it. It's roughly an hour and a half from my new place in Co-op City to my old home. I picked up some food from the nearby pizzeria and headed out. I arrived around 7:47 p.m. She was already at the door by the time I rolled into the driveway. As I got closer, I noticed the impact her actions had on her. She looked a lot slimmer, the not-so-great type of thin, in general. She resembled a character straight out of a zombie apocalypse. The moment she approaches for a hug, I immediately put a stop to it. She picked up on the fact that I wasn't there to offer her any comfort. And just like that, they pulled away. We head inside and plop down in the living room. Right off the bat, Linda drops the bomb that she wants to be honest about everything, concerning all aspects. She says she can't handle the guilt of what she did to me and the boys. Ever since we signed that separation agreement, she fell into a deep pit of guilt and pain that ultimately drove her to attempt suicide. So her friend, the one who called me from the hospital, picked up on her behavior and began dropping by to see how she was doing. She mentioned that the doctors informed her that if she hadn't been found just an hour later, she would have succeeded. She acknowledged that she let me down as a partner, that her getting involved with a loser was a mistake. It was totally her decision to keep going, even when she realized she was in over her head. She also expressed regret for revealing the numerous personal aspects of our marriage and for speaking negatively about me to him. She never thought she could be the type of person to do that, yet here she was. She claimed she was convinced in her mind that she was making the right choice. But in the end, when she believed I was being unfaithful, it struck her hard, like a ton of bricks. The weight of betrayal was overwhelming. She needed to bounce out of there ASAP. But at that point, it was clearly way too late. She then asked me when I stopped giving a damn. So I responded that night when she confronted me about the idea of me cheating with such intensity. Fully aware that she'd been acting like a total jerk for months, I completely lost respect for her, and it only strengthened my determination to follow through with my plan. She said that when she woke up on Christmas morning and discovered the gift I left, she was absolutely thrilled. That was until she decided to open it. That's when it hit her, and she completely lost it. She hasn't even stepped into our bedroom since then. She was desperately searching for anyone who might have a clue about my whereabouts. So, she hops on FB to ask for some advice, and suddenly her friends and family are all over her, throwing shade about her actions. She's totally clueless about how the news spreads so quickly. That's when I dropped the bomb about the other binders. Her expression of disbelief was absolutely unforgettable. It finally hit her that I was the one who did this to her. All the struggles she's faced, the betrayal from her friends, the shame from her family, and even the loss of her job, it all falls on me. She totally went quiet and just shut down after that. I decided to take a bathroom break, and let me tell you, it was a total disaster in there. The mirror was shattered, her skincare products were scattered everywhere, and the tub appeared to have not been cleaned since they rushed her to the hospital. When I returned to the living room, she was there with her face buried in her hands, crying, and I have to admit, I felt absolutely nothing. Enough with the anger, enough with the rage, and definitely no room for pity. Some people argue that the true opposite of love isn't hate, but rather indifference. When I looked at her, that was the only thing that came to mind. She glances my way and says, I messed everything up. I messed everything up for us. I seriously have no clue what to do next. I really need some help with this. I remind her that she has her family, the friend who discovered her, and our sons by her side. But she's missing out on me. She's done with that, for good. I let her know that I'm here to provide her with some closure after everything she's just been through. As soon as I step out that door, there's no way I'm glancing back. So the discussion about Derek pops up shortly after. She mentioned that he contacted her a couple of days back. After chatting for a couple of hours, she wrapped things up by telling him it's time for him to move on with his life. Look for someone younger and just move on. The rest of the conversation was Linda expressing her regret for betraying me and repeatedly asking if this was truly the end. I lock eyes with her, no second thoughts, and just say yes. It's been quite a while since I handed over the divorce notice on Christmas. It seemed like the perfect moment for me to make my exit. Silence reigned supreme. Honestly, what else is there to add? I walked away from her on the couch, shut the door, hopped in my car, and headed home. It's 2:57 a.m. as I type this out. I just had to share this while it's still fresh in my mind. This is it, folks. The story of Linda has come to a close, and both 18 and I have counseling sessions lined up in the next few weeks. Emily and I are still going strong, just like always. I'm just following the plan to keep everything low-key until the divorce is finalized. I'm keeping myself engaged and inspired, eagerly anticipating a future with a woman who I know will truly value and respect me, as she has quietly done for years. I'm ready to shift my attention to what lies ahead, so this might be my final post for a bit. I'll probably drop an update once the divorce is finalized. Big shout out to everyone who's reached out with kind words and support. I really appreciate it. To everyone who cheered me on for my revenge scheme, I can genuinely say I wish it hadn't come to this. But if I had the chance to redo it, I wouldn't alter a thing, except maybe taking more steps to slow things down instead of just getting him fired. To the person who harassed me, claiming I deserved it because I assaulted my wife, you're completely out of touch with reality. Seriously, get lost. Time to bounce out of here. Here's the latest on the current situation and what to expect moving forward. So it's been a little over 2 months since I handed my wife the divorce papers, and it's been a month since my last update. I mentioned that it might be my last one, but honestly, a lot has happened since then. So after noticing his return to this account in the flood of messages and responses still rolling in since my last post, I figured it's time to update everyone on what's happening. Before diving into everything else, I just want to take a moment to express my gratitude for all the support and kindness I've received during this tough time. I'm just as grateful for all the support I've received online as I am for the love from my family. First off, I want to dive into something that's been on a lot of minds lately. 18, my baby boy. Just a few days after my last update, he started ICE. I attended his first 2 sessions with him, and since then, he's been going solo for every session. He goes twice a week, and it's made a huge difference. Overall, he's doing pretty well. It's clear that his trust in relationships is totally wrecked. The impact of his personal experience with infidelity, along with his mother's cheating and her attempted suicide, has created a significant wound that I believe could take years, if not decades, to fully heal. I discovered that his experience was actually way worse than he had initially shared. So he totally walked in on his ex-girlfriend making out with a dude he thought was a friend. Turns out this guy was just pretending to be friendly to get close to her. Wild, right? He never shared this part of his breakup with me. It really hurts to see my son go through this during such a crucial time in his development. You do everything in your power to shield your kids, but then life just decides to throw a curveball. He's made up his mind to go with ICE for the long haul, and I've let him know that I'm here if he ever wants to chat about anything. Everything is fair game. Next up, we have my IC. Let's be real, if you've gone through most of my posts, it's pretty clear I might have some issues with anger. It's odd, really, considering I've always been the type to keep my emotions in check, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor. But this whole experience clearly stirred something deep within me that's ready to unleash some serious heat. I've shared all my thoughts and feelings with my therapist. And when I say everything, I mean absolutely everything. When I laid out everything I did to my ex, he was totally taken aback, caught between being impressed and completely shocked. That wasn't the response I anticipated. So it seems I might show some sociopathic traits when pushed, huh? Honestly, that doesn't shock me one bit considering all the things I was involved in. My sessions aren't really that intense. They're primarily about organization, sorting through everything swirling in my mind about the collapse of my marriage and seeking some kind of equilibrium. All right, let's address the big issue here, Emily. This woman has been a total game changer for me. I honestly can't imagine my life without her. I honestly never thought I would find someone so caring, empathetic, and nurturing to support me through everything. We're definitely still going strong. Despite our best efforts to keep things on the down low, it's been a challenge to maintain our ongoing relationship in secrecy. It's basically common knowledge among us now. She totally understands me. She's been that way ever since we were teenagers. And since she understands the hurt of having the person you've dedicated your life to betray you like that, she goes above and beyond to support me in dealing with my emotions. We alternate between hanging out at her place and mine. There's been some chatter about the idea of cohabitating, but her 5-year-old totally shuts that down. I just don't have enough space for 3 people here, and I'm stuck with my lease until 2023. For the time being, we'll continue to divide our time between. Whenever her daughter is off with her dad, Emily hangs out at my place. When she gives birth to her daughter, I'll be at her place. Talking about her daughter, I totally love her, and she seems to really like me too. Emily has been such a crucial part of my journey, and I really wish I could express just how much that means to me. So if you missed my earlier post, let me fill you in. Emily has been harboring feelings for me since our sophomore year in high school. Back then, she was the classic ugly duckling who believed she had no shot with me. She just sat there, fully aware of my pursuit, my dates, and my marriage to Linda, all while knowing exactly how she felt about it. For more than 25 years, she kept this secret, and just a week after my divorce hearing, we got together for a meal, and she finally spilled everything. I'm really fortunate to have her around. We're always discussing what the future has in store for us. Since we've both had our fair share of marriage mishaps, we're steering clear of that path, but we've definitely talked about the idea of a civil union. We're thinking of holding off for a bit before taking that step, but it's pretty much settled between us that we're meant for each other. And finally, we have the soon-to-be ex-wife, Linda. So here's the deal. I've got absolutely nothing to share with you all. Since the last time we talked after her attempt, I've completely cut off all contact. I seriously have no clue what she's up to or how she's going about it. I really have no interest in finding out. Honestly, she might as well be a ghost in my life. That's pretty much the gist of it. Life keeps moving forward. As I type this, the date is March 2nd. Just one more month until the filing goes through. In just a month, I'll officially be a free man. I'm totally counting down the days until I can kick off the next chapter of my life for real. Just to clarify, I misspoke regarding my diagnosis as a sociopath. I thought that since my therapist mentioned I show sociopathic tendencies when provoked, it meant I had a clinical diagnosis. Nope, it definitely wasn't. It was merely his expert take on the situation. Additionally, my oldest son, who is 23, doesn't genuinely intend to cause any harm to that person. He totally just blurted that out in a fit of rage. Final update, signing off and saying goodbye. So, on April 13th, just a month back, Linda and I officially wrapped up our marriage. I was first informed by my lawyer that it would happen on the 18th, but with things in New York State City beginning to open up as COVID cases decrease, it ended up getting pushed through a few days earlier. So my lawyer, Mr. Parker, hit me up on April 12th and told me to swing by the next day. As I approached, he passed me the finalization notice and gave my hand a firm shake. I couldn't just walk away, so I went in for a hug and expressed my gratitude for everything he had done for me. On my way home, I found myself stuck in a loop, replaying all those mental movies of everything that happened, my life over the past 24 years. Every single memory, the entire history laid out. As soon as I walked into my apartment, it finally went down. I collapsed to the ground, and all the pent-up feelings inside me burst forth. It's been forever since I last cried like that, but it wasn't a cry filled with sorrow. Absolutely not. It was like my spirit finally broke free from the heaviest chains, escaping the darkest depths of despair. I called 23 that night. I kept it brief and to the point, letting him know that it's official and his mother and I are no longer together as of that day. He asked how I was doing, and I could tell he noticed the tears in my voice, but I just said I was fine. So I ended up chatting on the phone for almost an hour and a half. 23 and his fiance have been absolutely crushing it in taking care of him. And he's still, like me, going to therapy. I won't dive into specifics about our conversation, but I can definitely say there's a significant amount of work ahead, particularly regarding his perspective on relationships. Emily dropped by later that night, just like she usually does. And of course, I shared the news with her. She just pulled me in close, wrapping her arms around my waist and holding on tight, while I let the tears flow once more. After I managed to pull myself together, Emily reassured me that she would never let me down and loves me completely. Honestly, I can vouch for every single word being spot on. I know I might get some heat for this, but I really don't regret the life I've built with Linda. She gave me 2 strong sons, but looking back, it's obvious I chose the wrong woman. Emily has put in an incredible amount of effort over the past 4.5 months, giving so much without expecting anything back. All she wants from me is to just be present for her. I don't want to ramble on about her for too long. Honestly, she's just the best. I can't help but admire her. There are definitely some intriguing developments that unfolded after the divorce was finalized. For real, Derek actually hit me up. Yeah, he totally shot me a message right here. So he caught wind of the story when it went viral on YouTube and instantly knew what it was. Just to clarify, I won't be disclosing his username. I feel like I've put the kids through enough already. He kicked things off by saying sorry for his hand and everything that came with it. He filled me in on the results of the binder I sent to his mom. Basically, he's been cut off from his family. So I found out while plotting my revenge that his mom is a really devoted Catholic. The kind of devout who's all in, attending church 3 times a week, with no room for a mini party spirit or anything less than full commitment. Her perspective on marriage is truly held in high regard. Finding out that her son just ended a marriage that had lasted nearly 25 years completely infuriated her. She booted him out that same day. And just a week later, after his employer received the binder I sent, he ended up getting fired too. He's been bouncing around from one friend's place to another, all while searching for a new gig. He said he wanted to connect with me on social media, all the platforms where he blocked me when he was with Linda. But he admitted he was scared because, in his words, if I could find him before, I could find him again. I'll be honest, I had the chance to completely take this kid down, but I chose not to. I asked him when he last saw Linda, and he mentioned it had been months since he last laid eyes on her. The last time he spoke to her, Linda told him to just forget about her and get on with his life. I remember Linda mentioning that the last time we talked. Well, at least she was being honest about that. I threw out a couple more questions, and the kid was surprisingly open about it. It seems like he was seeking some sort of atonement for the turmoil he had created in his own life. Much of what he mentioned reflected insights I'd picked up from the written materials I collected. I barely replied to anything. I just asked, and he replied. The conversation dragged on for about 20 minutes before he repeated his apologies once more. And that's when I dropped this on him. Imagine being 28 and having to carry the weight of knowing your own mother despises you for ending a marriage that lasted nearly as long as you've been alive. It's a heavy burden to bear. I get that you're reaching out because you're feeling that itch, but I'm not going to give you the satisfaction you're looking for. At 28, I was all about creating something that would last. At this moment, you're without a home, without a mom, and causing chaos in relationships. If you've got any sense, you'll take this lesson to heart. If you don't get your act together, you'll just keep messing up until you're my age, if you even make it that long. Good luck is overrated. What you really need is to get your act together. I wrapped up the conversation and decided to block him. Clearly, that's not the resolution he had in mind. Honestly, I could have gone way harder. Honestly, I feel like those words are going to stick with him for a long time. The next big update is that as of May 4th, 2022, Emily has officially changed her name to Emily_Defrog. In the past couple of months, we've engaged in extensive conversations about the direction we want our relationship to take. Emily has definitely stated that she's only interested in being with me, and she's even talking about wanting to carry on my name. She's looking to tie the knot with me and wants me to take on the role of adopting her daughter, who we'll refer to as Chloe, as if she were my own. I've talked about this before, but I really love this kid. She's 6 now, just had her birthday last month, and she looks up to me so much. I've stepped into the role of the first father figure for her since her biological dad pretty much vanished when she was 4. Emily has a rule about not bringing any man she's dated into Chloe's life unless she feels they're in it for the long haul. It's safe to say I've got the endurance and know-how when it comes to raising kids. And on that note, Chloe and 18 are totally inseparable. The big bro and lil sis dynamic is both stunning and adorable. 18 is totally attached to Chloe and is loving every moment of it. I brought it up with my therapist, and he said it's a solid indicator of progress. 18 recognizes a purity in Chloe that he feels compelled to safeguard, despite the fact that his own innocence has been broken. So we made the call last Monday to head over to Civic Center and make it official. It took a whole day to finally get the marriage license. Honestly, that reveal was just the most boring thing I've ever seen. Leo acted like it was a total surprise, but Big Sis is already taking bets on when the announcement will drop. We thought we were being all sneaky about our relationship for months, but it seems like everyone caught on anyway. Ha ha ha, that was pretty funny. Some folks are definitely going to argue that it was premature. Sure, I've mentioned before that I'm done with marriage, but that was before I really understood the vibe between Emily and me. This woman has declared her unwavering, limitless love for me. She's been in my arms, tears streaming down her face, expressing her happiness and how she never thought she'd get the chance to be with someone like me. She's elaborated extensively on her feelings for me over the last 25 years, expressing how, even during her marriage, she regretted that Linda came out on top. I seriously had no clue just how far that rabbit hole went. She even went so far as to say that there were moments when the idea of having an affair with me crossed her mind. but she just wasn't that type of person. Throughout all the years I've known her, she's given me so much while asking for so little in return. Honestly, the love I've felt from Emily surpasses anything I've experienced, even from my wife and the mother of my kids. It would be ridiculous for me not to share my name with her. Well, she finally got it. So we're just starting the paperwork process for me to adopt Chloe. And at last, we have Linda. I haven't talked to her since my last visit to our marital home, which was nearly 4 months ago now. However, the mutual friends that are still around do keep me in the loop with updates every now and then. So through a friend who's a realtor, I found out that she sold the house, and he ended up giving her a job as a clerical assistant at his firm. By doing that, he also waived the payments I had to make because of her unemployment. She's currently in a cozy little apartment nearby his office, which he also helped her get into. She's managing to get by, just a shadow of the woman she used to be. She's hardly put on any weight and tends to stay in her own bubble. She shows up, gets her tasks done, and keeps to herself except when it comes to him. Probably because, her mingling with coworkers is where all of this kicked off. The last I heard about her was back in March. I appreciated him keeping an eye on her, but I made it clear that I don't need any more updates. She's not my concern anymore. I'm pretty sure she's aware of what's going on between Emily and me, as a few of our mutual friends who are still around have mentioned about us. Since I'm just a year away from being a legal adult, I really don't see any reason to ever talk to her again. Absolutely not. And there you have it. I've finally reached the end of my tumultuous journey filled with betrayal, revenge, and deep mental anguish. I'm open to questions and maybe some comments, but after this, I'm disappearing back into the swamp and to chill with my new frog wife and her tiny tadpole. Honestly, to the countless individuals who have shared their advice, good vibes, and support throughout this journey, thanks a lot. Sharing my story and supporting others facing the challenges of infidelity has truly been a humbling and rewarding experience. To the new friends I've actually made here, I love you all. I never would have imagined I'd come across such amazing individuals in a space where, let's be honest, not so great things can often be expressed. Stay eco-friendly and maintain that elegance. Online community.